Hey everyone, and thanks for jumping back into the cryptoverse. Today we're going to talk about Bitcoin and the approach to the 20-week moving average. So if you guys like the content, please go ahead and subscribe to the channel. Please give the video a thumbs up. Also, do check out the Telegram channel, which you can find a link to in the description below. Now let's go ahead and jump in. So this candle here is something, as again we've mentioned, is anticipated even during a bull market, right? We've anticipated these moves to the 20-week moving average. Basically looking at these moves that we had in the last cycle down to the 20-week moving average, right? And we did a live stream on this yesterday where I went through a lot of these different comparisons, noting that even during these really bullish momentum shifts in Bitcoin where it started moving up, it can quickly kind of turn on a dime and revisit the 20-week, right? Here was one that dropped almost 30% approximately to the 20-week. Here's one that dropped 40% or so, and so on and so forth. So we recognize that these things are going to happen, even if we're lucky enough to be in a multi-year Bitcoin bull market. So even if we're lucky to be in a multi-year Bitcoin bull market, we will see moves to the 20-week. Now this one, as I showed, this one is a bit stronger than the ones we've seen in the past for the most part, at least in prior cycles, but it does look somewhat similar to this one right here, right? We were approximately, if you take a measured move from the 20-week up, we were almost 20% above it, and we fell down to it in 1 week. Okay, here's another one. So the one we just saw, it was about a 17% move, about the same, down to the 20-week moving average. Now, what we want to do, of course, right, for those who are wanting the bull market to start now, which, I mean, who among us really doesn't, then we would want it to hold the 20-week moving average, right? And as we said, the reason is so that we can, basically confirm, give some more bullish confirmation, right, to the idea that the bull market has started. And I think that if it is confirmed as support, other coins like Ethereum will also do really well, continue to do well, if Bitcoin is able to stay above the 20-week moving average. Now, we recognize that it might not. One thing you can note is that we technically did not revisit it down to the exact value, depending on, of course, what exchange you use. Here we're looking at a 98.33 Bitcoin at the 20-week. The price reached about $100 above it. Again, it's not a perfect science, but this is pretty close in terms of seeing the bulls really come out to fight it off at this point. Now, one of the things I want to draw your attention to, however, and we talked about this in the live stream, is the Bitcoin valuation against the euro, and noting that it too similarly goes down to its 20-week moving average, right? And we're talking about Forex a little bit here, looking at different currencies. So you can see that during the last cycle, it was the 20-week that also confirmed the bull market for Bitcoin against the euro. But we look at Bitcoin versus USD, and for Bitcoin Euro, you can see we did revisit the 20-week. We actually had a wick slightly below it, which, by the way, even if you look at Bitcoin USD during the last cycle, we had wicks below the 20-week moving average, right? We had wicks that went below it. The euro, the Bitcoin valuation against the euro, already had a wick below it. And you might wonder, well, why would it be going for the euro but not for USD? Well, I think the simple answer is just if you look at the US dollar currency index, since March, so it's basically since the pandemic, the US dollar currency index is down approximately 10%. So arguably, this is one of the reasons why Bitcoin has done so well, namely because if you think about it in terms of USD valuation, if US dollars are worth less, it's going to take more of them to purchase a single Bitcoin, even if theoretically the price of Bitcoin shouldn't have changed. I mean, I would argue that it was more than just that, but I'm trying to say that it did play a role in the price appreciation of Bitcoin against USD. It wasn't just because people were buying more Bitcoin. I think it's also because the US dollar was being devalued. And if you take a look at over these last few weeks, in general, the last few months, the US dollar has been going down, meaning it's going to take more to purchase a single Bitcoin. So you could argue that is one of the reasons why the price against the euro did hit the 20-week moving average, but the price against the price against the euro did go below it. and the price against USD did not. And we've actually looked at this before, right, in terms of weekly closes and monthly closes, right, looking to see how in the past, we had actually already broached this level, but currently, for say euro, you could see that we were actually slightly below where we were with the USD. And let me show you what I mean. So if you were to let's look at the monthly candles, because I think the monthly candles will tell the story a bit better. So if you look at a monthly candle and you draw a line from the top of these monthly candles from May of 2019 over, this is against USD, you can see how high above these candles come when we revisited that territory. Alternatively, if you look at it on the euro and you draw a candle over, right, you can see that we only barely broached that level. I mean, you could almost consider it a rounding error for this first month that broached that level. In fact, it only went up above it about 1% or so. Okay, but on the USD time, in terms of the USD valuation, it was significantly above it, about 5 or 6% or so. So, and again, depends on if you measure it to the wick or just the candle. But you can see, over the last few months, there has been a systematic devaluation of the US dollar, because if it hadn't been devalued as much as it had, it probably would have looked a little bit more similar to how the euro looks in terms of its monthly candles against Bitcoin. Now, moving forward, what we're looking for is essentially we want Bitcoin to hold the 20-week moving average if you're wanting to see the altcoin movement of, a lot of these altcoins skyrocketing, coins like Ethereum, which I don't really consider an altcoin. If you want to see those regain momentum and start working their way back up, Bitcoin needs to confirm or at least stay above the 20-week. So it's a testy time. It is certainly a risky time for altcoins. When Bitcoin is 20% above its 20-week moving average, it's not nearly as risky if it's moving up and you're getting into altcoins, you're riding the bubbles, you're DCAing dynamically out. It's a bit more understandable. When it's this close to the 20-week, there's a lot more risk involved, because if Bitcoin closes a weekly candle below the 20-week, then it's going to be the bad news bears for a lot of people that are holding large positions in altcoins. So keep this in mind. It does not apply to all of the altcoins, but it applies to most of them. And in the live stream last night, I said which altcoins I would actually hold on to even in that scenario. So what we're looking for, right, is we're looking for the 20-week moving average to not be broken on the weekly time frame. Of course, we could see a wick below. We saw a wick below on the euro chart. We've seen wicks below on the USD chart, even the last cycle. But it's not going to be all fun and games, right, on the march to a sustainable $20,000. And we've talked about this a lot, right? And you look at the macro scale, and we recognize that we're in this phase of the market cycle, the slower move back up to the prior all-time high. And we're not going to really go into price discovery mode, which is the parabolic move for Bitcoin, until once Bitcoin gets to a sustainable $20,000, which is still, we're probably 15, 16 months away. And, when the price of Bitcoin is going up quickly, it's hard for people to rationalize how it could take this long. But you just look back at other cycles and you look at lengthening cycle theory, the idea that it's going to take longer to build back up, and then it's going to take, even though it's going to take longer, we're also going to experience diminishing returns. I mean, this is not just in crypto. You can see this elsewhere as well. So we're still on course, right? And for those who are worried, if we don't hold it, right? So if we don't hold the 20-week moving average, things can get ugly quickly. We know this, right? I mean, we've looked at it in the past. If you take a measured move from this 20-week moving average break, we instantly dropped 20% that week. And that was after already coming down from 14K. We had already come down 28%. So once we broke it, it was another 20%. Here's another one. We came down to the 20-week about 17% or so. Once we broke it, we actually came down to the wick 55% from breaking the 20-week moving average on the weekly time frame. So the moral of the story, right, is if you're overexposed in altcoins and you think that altcoins are just going to continue to give you parabolic moves in the short term, you have to understand that, yes, if the 20-week holds and then the confidence is regained, you could be right. But if it does not hold, you're going to be in for a bad, for a bad week or two if it doesn't hold. Okay, so I just want people to, to be aware that if it doesn't hold, it will come down likely, and it could easily go down to the 100-week moving average, the 200-week. So the 100-week is currently at 76.79. The 200-week is at 65.78. So I'm not saying that it's going to hold, or I'm not saying it's going to break. In fact, I think there's a decent chance we could put up a fight at the 20-week. So I'm not going to definitively say we can't hold it. My point is that if we don't hold it, instead of it, watching it come down, you see it get to this point, and then you capitulate your position. This is not what you're going to want to do, most likely. This is not financial advice. This is not what I would do. If you see it coming back down to these levels, I would personally consider it an opportunity, right? An opportunity. We recognize that we're still in accumulation phase for Bitcoin, right? We don't, on this channel, we don't subscribe to the idea that Bitcoin's going to 100K in 12 months or 14 months. It's just not happening, most likely. So with that in mind, the goal, the mindset for 2019, as we've said all along, for 2019, 2020, and at least the first half of 2021, is to accumulate as much Bitcoin as you can for as little as you can. And so that means that if it drops down here, this is a timely opportunity. Now, if you think about it, the people that were celebrating the most up here were the people that got in all the way down here at around $4,000. So it's scary. It's really scary to buy in, at these levels, of course. But then the people that tend to celebrate later on are the people that were able to look past their emotions, look at the math, and see that, okay, well, historically speaking, we know that when we're in the bottom, if we're in the bottom phase of the regression band, in that bottom area, it typically doesn't take very long to see a nice ROI. And you can see in general these accumulation ranges in these bands, right, they span the upper and the lower parts of it. But the lower parts, when you reach the lower parts, we're really not there for very long, right? So you can see it, not so much in this first one, in the second one right here, and then now we're in this third one, and you could even go back all the way over here, I guess, to say this is the first one. And note that when we're at the lower part of the regression band, it doesn't take long to move out of it each and every time. And looking at the most recent cycle that we're in, this was reaching the bottom of the band for the very first time, more or less. Because despite the fact that the capitulation over here was down to a lower number, 3,100, we know that our fair value monotonically moves up with time. Time is on our side. So despite the fact that this was a lower price, this capitulation, I feel like, was actually worse. And the reason was because I feel like it was largely unexpected to go 60% down in one day. And also, it actually went below the regression band and wicked down to the 300-week moving average. So on the off chance that we get lucky enough to go to the 200-week, again, it's just business as usual. I don't think you need to be too concerned. The only reason you would be concerned is if you're overexposed in the market and you're investing more than you can really afford to lose. If that's not the case, if you're okay letting it ride for a couple years, then, or even 3 years, then I think, seeing a move down to that level should not be scary. It should just be an opportunity. Because as we've said before, the ride to six figures, it's not going to be an easy one. You look at the last market cycle and you think that it looks like it's just fun and games on the way up. You just say, oh, well, it was a parabolic move up. But we showed a lot of 20 to 40% corrections on the way up, and then the last correction was more than 50%. Just to get to the 20-week, it was around 50%. So it's not all fun and games. The point of the channel, right, is to recognize that there will be moves down to the 20-week, even in a bull market. And this is I feel like the last major test of a bull market, right? Can we hold the 20-week moving average? If we can, then I think it does bring credence to the fact that things will be okay, at least for the short term. Things could get moving upward again. If we can't, it's just kicking the can down the road. And again, if this is our target to reach a $20,000 Bitcoin, a sustainable $20,000 Bitcoin, it doesn't really matter if we come down and then kind of go back up, or maybe we go into a speculative bubble first and then come back down. Obviously going into a speculative bubble early and then selling some would be preferable. But at the same time, if you get the opportunity to buy Bitcoin at 30 or 40% of its current value, to me this is an opportunity, because it doesn't change the long-term goal, right, of getting to approximately $100,000 Bitcoin over the next 3 years or so, right? This to me is still on track. So again, I hope you guys enjoyed the content. Please subscribe to the channel if you guys like the content. If you want to follow along with the risk levels that I trade against on my premium list, check out intothecryptoverse.com. You get access to a weekly report on Sundays, my Sundays anyways, it's some people's Mondays, a weekly premium report, a weekly premium video, a risk dashboard, which is what I use to trade, which, by the way, worked out really well for a lot of people during these last bubbles, especially for things like Link. We even hit a risk band for Ethereum that triggered a sell. So if you're looking for a more mathematical approach to managing your investment, I would say check out the premium list, because we do have the risk bands which help people identify, okay, it's time to take profits, and we do it dynamically. We sell more as we go up. That way it leaves the most profitable moves out at the very end if we make it there. So then things like Link, we sold a lot more of it in the short term. When it went to $20, we sold a little bit less Ethereum because it didn't go quite into as manic as a bubble yet. Okay, so you also get access to the dynamic DCA selling strategy dashboard and a private Telegram channel for chatting, and then an alerts channel. And you can pay with crypto to get a discount up to 6 or 12 months. You'll get 15% off at 12 months. And remember, the prices are going up on September 28th. So if you're looking for a more systematic approach to manage this market cycle for cryptocurrency, and you want to get grandfathered in at the lower price, I would recommend signing up before September 28th. And you can always test it out, right? And if it's not your thing, you can cancel. But once the prices go up, you will not be grandfathered in at the lower price. So the people getting in now will be grandfathered in at the lower price. Again, if it's not your thing, don't worry about it. Just please subscribe to the channel, give the video a thumbs up, and I hope you guys enjoyed the content. I'll see you next time. Bye.